In this video, I will explain how to round numbers to significant figures. So I have 10 examples for us to work through here in which we're going to round each of these numbers to 3 significant figures. Now, I've gone ahead and listed out the 6 rules right here for determining whether or not certain digits in a number are significant figures or not. So we can reference these rules as we're working through these problems. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these problems. It says, round each of the following numbers to 3 significant figures. So let's take a look at number 1 right here. We have 5.457. We want to round this number to 3 significant figures. So the way that we do that is we first identify what are the first 3 significant figures in this number. Well, according to rule 1 right here, that tells us all non-zero digits, in other words, the digits 1 through 9, are significant. So in this number, this 5, this 4, and this next 5, these are all significant figures. So here's our first 3 significant figures in this number. Now, what we're going to do is after we've identified these first 3 significant figures, look at the very last one, so this 5 right here, and then move one place over, and let's analyze the number that comes after the 5. If this number is 5 or greater, we're going to round this 5 up to a 6. But if it's less than 5, we're just going to keep this as a 5. So since it is a 7, we're going to round up this 5 right here to a 6. So our final answer is going to be 5.46. So we rounded this up to a 6. So this is how we can round this number to 3 significant figures. And what we'll notice is that this result right here, this number 5.46, it has 3 significant figures, which is exactly what we wanted. Okay, now let's take a look at example number 2. Let's round this number to 3 significant figures. So once again, the first thing we have to do is identify what are the first 3 significant figures. Well, for this example, if we reference rule number 5 over here, this tells us leading zeros are not significant. So all of these leading zeros, the zeros that come at the beginning of this number, are not significant. So the first 3 significant figures in this number are the 4, the 7, and the 6. So again, we're going to look at the third significant figure, the 6 right here, and then we'll look at the number that comes after it, the 9. Does this tell us to round up the 6 to a 7, or do we keep the 6 as it is? Well, a 9 tells us to round up, so we're going to round this up to a 7. So our final answer here is going to be 0.00047, and we're going to round up the 6 to a 7. So that's our final answer here. And again, this number, this result right here, has 3 significant figures, because these 3 digits at the end are the significant figures. And again, the leading zeros are not significant. All right, let's take a look at example number 3. Let's round this number to 3 significant figures. So let's first identify what are the first 3 significant figures in this number. Well, that would be the 1, the 4, and the 7, because they're all non-zero. So once again, we'll look at the third significant figure, and then we'll look at the number that comes right after it, the 2. Does the 2 tell us to round up or just keep the 7? Well, it tells us to keep the 7. Now, one mistake that I sometimes see students make is they'll write their final answer as 1, 4, 7. Because remember, we said we're going to keep this as a 7, we're not going to round it. But when we're doing these types of problems, we want the rounded number to still be close to the original number. So 147 is not close to 14,721. So what we're going to do is fill in 2 zeros so that our final answer is 14,700, which is pretty close to the original value. And we'll notice that this number right here, it still has 3 significant figures. And the reason why is because these zeros, these trailing zeros at the end, are not significant. And that is rule number 4 you can reference. Trailing zeros in a number without a decimal point are not significant. So in this number, the 1, the 4, and the 7 are significant. So we do have 3 significant figures in this rounded answer. All right, now let's take a look at example number 4. Let's round this number to 3 significant figures. So first, let's identify what are the first 3 significant figures. Well, that would be the 5, the 3, and this 0 right here, this is significant. And the reason is because we can reference rule number 2 here, which says zeros between non-zero digits are significant. So this 0 right here is wedged in between 2 non-zero digits, so it is significant. So what we're going to do is take this third significant digit and look at the number that comes after it. Does this 6 tell us to round up or keep the 0? Well, it tells us to round up. So this 0 is going to become a 1. So our final rounded answer is going to be 53.1. Okay, let's take a look at example number 5 now. Let's round this number to 3 significant figures. So again, first identify what are the first 3 significant figures. So the 1 is significant, and again, these zeros are wedged in between 2 non-zero digits. So both of these zeros are significant. So let's underline both of them. So the third significant figure is this 0 right here. So we'll look at the next number, and this 7 tells us to round this up to a 1. So our final rounded answer is going to be 1.01. And we'll notice that this final value that we just got also has 3 significant figures in the answer. Okay, let's check out example number 6. This one's a little bit tricky. So if we want to round this one to 3 significant figures, let's first identify what are the first 3 significant figures. So the 1 is significant, the 3 is significant, but we'll notice that all of these trailing zeros, these are not significant, and we can reference rule 4 to verify that. Trailing zeros in a number without a decimal point are not significant. So right now, this number only has 2 significant figures, so what do we do? Well, the trick is we're going to write this in scientific notation. So to do that, the decimal point, if there was one, would be right here on this number. So to write it in scientific notation, we move the decimal point the number of places required so that only one digit is in front of the decimal point. So we'd have to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. So in scientific notation, this number would be 1.3, and I'm just going to write all of the zeros for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, times 10 to the exponent that we write is the number of places we move the decimal point. So that would be 5. So another way to write 130,000 is 1.30000 times 10 to the 5th. And the reason that we rewrite it like this is because we can reference rule number 6 here, which says all digits in the coefficient of scientific notation are significant. So the coefficient, that's the number that comes before the 10. So what that says is that all of these digits in the coefficient, even these trailing zeros out here, all of these are significant. So now what we can do is we can say, okay, what are the first 3 significant figures? Well, that would be the 1, the 3, and the 0. So now we identify the third significant figure, and we'll look at the value that comes after it. This 0 tells us to keep this 0 as a 0 and don't round up. So we can write our final answer as, let's write it right here, 1.30 times 10 to the 5th. And this answer right here has 3 significant figures because all 3 of these digits right here in the coefficient are significant. So I'm going to rewrite that right here so we have a little more space. All right, let's check out example number 7 now. Let's round this number to 3 significant figures. So again, let's identify the first 3 significant figures. That would be the 9, and then we have both of these zeros right here that are wedged between 2 non-zero digits. So both of these zeros are significant. So let's underline both of them. Now the third significant figure is this 0 right here. So we'll look at the number that comes after it, the 8, and that tells us to round this 0 up to a 1. So our final answer is going to be 901. And remember, we want this rounded answer to be close to this original value. So we're going to fill in 2 extra values to make this rounded number 90,100. So that will be our final answer on this one. And again, this number has 3 significant figures, the 9, the 0, and the 1. And the trailing zeros are not significant. Okay, now let's take a look at example number 8. Let's round this number to 3 significant figures. So the first 3 significant figures are 4, 5, and 5. So it turns out this number is already rounded to 3 significant figures. So this is an easy one. We just have 455. Okay, now let's look at example number 9. Let's round this number to 3 significant figures. So the first 3 significant figures are the 4, the 5, and the 5. So we'll take the third significant figure and we'll look at the number that comes after it, the 2. This tells us to keep this 5 as a 5. We don't need to round it up. So our final answer is going to be 4, 5, 5. And again, we want this number to be close to this value. So we're going to fill in 1 extra 0 to make this 4,550. And again, this answer has 3 significant figures in it because the first 3 values are significant and the trailing 0 is not. And now let's take a look at our very last example. Let's round this number to 3 significant figures. So once again, the first step is let's identify the first 3 significant figures. So that would be the 1, the 7, and this 0 right here is wedged in between 2 non-zero digits, so it is significant. So we're going to look at this third significant figure, and then we'll take a look at the number that comes after it, a 9. That tells us to round this up to a 1. So our final answer is going to be 1.71. And this number is rounded to 3 significant figures because all 3 of these values in this number are significant. So those were 10 examples of how to round numbers to a specific amount of significant figures.